Hi there, it's me, Kaylee, and what I have for you today is not fancy at all. I'm literally sitting here in my horse's shed, and she's over here. As you might be able to see, she's very pregnant. She's 48 days away from her due date of having a foal, and I'm so excited. I literally cannot stop talking about it. And today, really, what I want to do is just speak to the person that I was about a year ago. A year ago, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was at a point where I was graduating high school. I had no idea of what the near future held. And I was just like, I really, really wish I knew what to do. And that summer that was going on, I was just searching. I was searching for, God's will for me. I was also searching for another person I could relate to who was also in that season, who was, searching for something, and I couldn't find that. I couldn't find that person who I could relate to. So maybe, me now out of that season might be an encouragement to you if you're still in that season, Basically, that's just my heart today and what we're talking about with this topic. So as I graduated high school, I was like, I just don't know. I did consider college. I didn't feel like it was for me. There were several kids that I knew who went to Bible college, and that was something I considered and thought, maybe this is something that I would be interested in, and it's something that I could probably get a lot out of, personally. It just didn't seem right for me, though. And I did look into college, like, was there a trade I wanted to learn, potentially for a career I might want to go into? And there really wasn't anything that I wanted to go and put the money down and study, So that was a no for me, especially when I took a deep dive. And taking a deep dive like this and asking yourself, what is it ultimately that I want to do in 5, 10 plus years that I need to be working toward now? That's the first question I feel like needs to be asked in a situation like this. And for me, that was, I don't want to be a career woman. I don't want to have to go to work every day and, be away. Ultimately, what I want is to get married and have kids and be a stay-at-home mom. So in my mind, I'm just thinking, why then am I going to go to college, take out a student loan, and now have to spend several years working to pay that off? Why would I do that, So that led me to looking for a job, and there was actually a job that when I found it, I was dead sure that this is what I was going to do. I'm like, this is it. This is my purpose. It's what I've been made for. And I looked into that job. I was like, yes, green light. And then, as I got closer to being able to work at this job, I started looking around at my family and at my parents' farm here, and I was like, oh, I don't want to leave this. I love this. I love this lifestyle, right? And whereas this job that I was looking into would have kept me away from being here during the week, at least, and some weekends as well. So I was just like, oh, I don't know. And besides that, the pay for this job was very, very small. I did decide not to go with that job because there were some other circumstances surrounding that made me think, not now. And even though I'm not working there, I'm still able to go there and volunteer on my time and my terms, not as an employee, but as a volunteer. And that way, if the weather's not nice, or if I'm sick, or if I'm busy, if I have something I need to do, I don't have to go there. I can just volunteer, so I'm getting the I'm getting the best of both worlds, I feel like, through that. And there was another opportunity that I had, more of an apprenticeship. And the idea was that I was going to work for this gentleman in this trade and eventually take over his shop, which was such a cool opportunity. But again, I thought about that twice, and I was like, with my ultimate plan though, like as a wife and mom, could I do this? Would I want to do this? Am I still going to like this in 5 or 10 years? And I was like, the answer is no. The answer is no on that one too. So I was like, okay, I've said no to this, I've said no to that. What am I gonna do? So then I was like, okay, I'm never going to be happy with anything. And that was the point where I started my small business. And I've made another video about this. So I'm not going to talk extensively on it, but having a small business was something that had never been on my radar. Growing up, I had seen a lot of business. And I had seen it not work out very well, honestly. In my town, there is a business where throughout my growing up years, it changed hands so many times because there would be so many people who would buy this business. It sounded so exciting. They would get in there and work and work and work and work, and it wouldn't work. Who in their right mind would have a business where they're working constantly in this business, but they never see the money? And since starting my business, I have learned that a lot of success in business has more to do with mindset, the type of business you're going into. It has to be a good fit. And I have learned that there is money in business. There is. And so the way I see it with my small business, that is something I can take into marriage and motherhood should God bless me with both of those things. I can take this into there if I still want to do it. I'm not locked into it, obviously. But it just seems like a great fit. And in the meantime, I'm growing my savings. I'm not putting all that money into my education. Although, there is a time and a place for putting money into education. And everything I'm saying here, I'm not trying to downplay getting a job, downplay college, because we all are called to different lifestyles. We all have different places that we're called. But where I feel called is in this area, and I feel like I'm finally in alignment where I need to be, and I feel satisfaction in that. And I also, this is kind of a bunny trail, but I also feel like maybe there are a lot of other young girls like myself, where your dream is like me to be a wife and mom. But in our world today, it's kind of not smiled on to have that as your ultimate ambition. We're supposed to be chasing our careers and going and experiencing life and traveling and all those things. And again, nothing at all wrong with that, but it's okay to desire, to just have a family, to have a very quiet, simple life. And it's okay to voice that, I would just say. Another thing I also feel like I need to mention is that, I was saying please excuse my horse here. She's being very loud. She's eating her lunch. Why are you still eating? Huh? What's up? Another thing I would say is that there are so many young people today who have a mindset of entitlement, where they want everything handed to them on a silver platter because they feel like they deserve it because they're a human being. And, I guess it's probably pretty obvious. I don't believe that. I think we all need to work. There's different areas of work that we need to do. But we all need to pitch in and serve each other, because if we're all expecting to be handed our life and our comforts on that silver platter, it's not going to last long. It's not going to be sustainable. So in whatever you're doing, always be seeking to work and serve for God's glory. And I also have 3 points of advice. if you're in the season of not knowing what to do with your life or not knowing what to do next. The first is to pray, which might seem rather obvious, but I think sometimes we neglect it. And our God is a sovereign God. I believe that with all my heart. You know, a lot of Christians are wishy-washy on God's sovereignty. Is he really sovereign? Like, you know, there's people who bounce around being like, no, he's not. We determine our own destinies. He's just sitting back and letting us do our thing. There's other people who are like, I don't have to do anything because God has this plan for me and he's going to make it happen. I'm just going to sit back and eat chips. I feel like there's a very safe middle ground between those two, where we're trusting in God, but we're also being diligent and taking initiative and going after those desires that are pleasing to God and that serve other people. So that's number one. Number one is pray. Number two is seek counsel. So seeking counsel could be from a trusted older person, your elders, your parents. It could also be from your friends, but be sure that you are being mindful of what friends you're actually taking advice from. I have some good, godly friends my age that I have learned so much from. There are also people my age in my life that I respect them. They're great people, but they just don't have the maturity yet where I'm going to take life advice from them, if that makes sense. So that's number two, is take counsel. Number three is if you're interested in something, go try it out. Experiment. So if you even have like an inkling, like maybe I want to do this, but I'm just not sure, or if you have like 5 things where you're thinking, I might want to do this, I'm just not sure though, like go try all of them. Just go find somebody who's already in that field and just volunteer. There are so many trades and so many people everywhere who may already be in this area that you're interested in, and they would love to have you volunteer because they probably have a lot of things that need to be done. You helping them out will help them as you learn, you know, if you want to do that. Because when you're in the nitty-gritty of something, you're going to find out pretty fast if you actually want to spend a majority of your life doing that thing. So don't be afraid to get out there and just experiment. Finally, just know that I completely feel for you and I understand where you are, because I went through that season. I know exactly what it's like. I know what it's like to be praying and asking God, what should I do? Like, what is your plan for me? What are my next steps? And sometimes that season of waiting can be very long, but it's also a season where we can grow. And that's how I felt like my season of in-between was, is I learned a lot of lessons in that season, and although I couldn't quite see them during that time, yeah, I learned from that, and I'm sure I'll have seasons of waiting in the future in my life. Obviously, if you're still listening, maybe you can relate if you're just sitting here listening to me, sitting in the shed with the horse, just rambling. And we will see you in the next video. Until then, bye!